Here we are again with another unnecessary live action remake of an absolute classic, Mulan. What's going on everyone? Hello, mono. It's Willis here and today I'm reviewing Disney's 2020 remake of Mulan. Now the 2020 version of the remake just recently released on Disney's streaming platform Disney Plus over the weekend and is about to be released in Chinese cinemas in the coming days. Now before we go into the review, I just want to talk about Disney's formula for recycling their original animated classics, in which in my opinion they just should not be touched. Now Disney, the House of Mouse, just can't help themselves just because there's so much money to be made in the movie making business. And this is definitely not Disney's first time doing a live action remake. They've done The Jungle Book, Lady and the Tramp, Aladdin,
Beauty and the Beast,
The Lion King, and now Mulan. And all those recent remakes have been met with all different levels of success when it comes to critics and fans alike. None of the recent remakes have come close to touching the animated classic. But Disney just can't help themselves of just falling back on this washed up formula of just recycling the animated classics. And I don't know what it is. I guess Disney feels that these are just easy money makers, just to rehash the animated classics, and it just turns into a live action movie. And it's going to get to a point where what doesn't Disney make? From all the recent acquisitions, like the Walt Disney Company owns ABC, ESPN, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, 20th Century Fox, and Fox Searchlight Studios, and not to mention Nat Geo. I guess the point of this rant and my beef with Disney and all their live action remakes is just I love the animated classic. For me, I just don't want them to be touched. But that's not going to stop the Walt Disney Corporation making money, making profits for the shareholders and the executives. So the only thing the audience can do is just not watch these films. And by not watching these films, that's going to hurt Disney's bottom line. Alright, enough about Disney. Let's talk about the actual movie review. I don't have many good things to say. I don't think I have anything good to say about the movie at all. The new live action remake, which it just took itself too seriously, and it was just so bloody awkward, the performances and the screenplay. So the original animated Mulan in 1998 had it all. It had comedy, it had songs, it had an exciting story to tell. Now the 2020 live action remake sticks to fairly the same story, where there's invaders in China, and then the Imperial Army recruits a man from every household to join the army, and so Mulan's father's quite frail and weak, and so she takes his place as a woman in the Imperial Army. That's pretty much the similar in both the animated and the live action remake, and that's probably the only thing the live action remake gets right. Now the combined star power of Donnie Yen, Jet Li, and Si Ma, and of course lead Yifi Liu, just could not save this movie. Their performances were just so awkward. The live action remake overall was pretty piss poor and just really didn't do it for me. And here's why. First off, the Mulan 2020 version had an all Asian cast, which was cool. Now for Asian actors where English isn't the first language, and for them to act and perform, and we as the audience, we can accept and understand how difficult the English speaking and sounding is for the Asian actors. So putting that aside, but if the English language was the only issue with the live action remake, I could accept that, but there's a lot more, and let's get into it. Screenplay, from each scene to scene, it just didn't flow right, and it was just so awkward the way it was shot as well. I mean, the stunts were underwhelming, the performances were underwhelming and awkward. I mean, it's just when you watch it for yourself, I mean, I'm curious to hear what your opinion is of the movie, but it's just, for me, it just felt flat and awkward and underwhelming for me at every single turn in the live action remake. And I haven't even gotten into comparing the differences of what made the original animation so good and all the things that the live action remake left out. Now on that note, let's talk about all the things that made the animation so good. I mean, it's been over 20 years, and for me, the original animation still holds up so well to this day. I mean, the original animation just had it all. Sing-along songs, it had the comedic relief, and that whole animation, the movie just flowed so well. For me, what I love about the original animation was it had Eddie Murphy as Mushu, and he was just absolutely incredible. I mean, he's comparable to Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin. I mean, those two guys were just untouchable in these animated roles, absolutely untouchable and incredible in their performances. And you had, of course, shirtless Captain Shang. Oof. Played none other by B.D. Wong. Now, if you're not familiar about B.D. Wong, he's in all the recent Jurassic Park movies, but also, of course, in Law and Order SVU. And I love his performances as an actor, especially back in SVU days. And of course, last but not least is the actual story of Mulan, which is so much more uplifting and well told in the animation. Now let's talk about the differences between the live action remake and the original and why the live action remake, which is so much worse. Oh, and also spoilers incoming. There were no fucking songs, no reflection, no honor to us all, no I'll make a man out of you, none of it, which is just unforgivable. These songs what made the animation so great. No sing-along songs, just dishonorable. Next up on my list, no fucking Mushu. Now I get that this live action remake is trying to be more serious and more grounded with the whole Imperial Army and all the China and all this and that and crap. Now they don't have a tiny little dragon, but they have a witch and get this, a fucking phoenix. You heard me right, a phoenix with no fucking name, no comedic relief, does jack shit, flies in and out. I don't know what the point of the phoenix is, but they couldn't have Mushu, but they could have a bloody witch and a fucking phoenix. I mean, what the fuck? What else is on my list? The new remake has no Captain Shang, but not only that, no fucking Shirtless Captain Shang at all, which is unforgivable. How dare you, Disney, deprive the audience of one of the things that made the animation so great, Shirtless Captain Shang. Shame on you, Mickey. Go fuck yourself. And yeah, and those were my differences between the animation and the live action remake. Now, all the things that made the animation so great for me, the characters, the sing-along songs, the comedic relief, the live action remake was just devoid of all of that. What can we as an audience do? For one, we can simply just not watch the movie. I mean, that's gonna hurt Disney's bottom line for sure, and the shareholders aren't going to be happy about that. I mean, this is not the first time that Disney has taken a big L. Disney has had big losses in their movie making business in the past. Take for example, the financial perils of modern movie making. And here the Business Insider sums up quite nicely. If Tomorrowland eventually loses 140 million, it would set a new low for Disney's box office losses. And talking about star power, like Tomorrowland starring none other than George Clooney. Even George Clooney couldn't save Tomorrowland. I mean, Disney took a 136 million loss on the animated feature Mars Needs Moms, which cost 175 million to produce and market. John Carter had a combined production and marketing budget of 307 million, but it failed to break even with a global box office gross of 284 million. The Lone Ranger, which had an estimated production and marketing budget of 375 million, caused an estimated loss of $114 million. Holy shit. So these four films, like Disney has taken big losses. Each film almost losing upwards of $100 million. Holy shit. For shareholders, like breaking even in like the movie market isn't enough. Like the shareholders want to see a return on investment like multiple times, not just breaking even for a movie. So these movies for Disney, the production and the marketing is upwards of $350 million. And so I guess that goes back to I think one of the reasons why Disney is doing this recycle formula is that they're trying to play it safe and trying to just reuse the original animations, which have brought in so much money for them. But that just doesn't work sometimes. I mean, making a new IP or making an original movie is not easy. First, you have to get over the whole process of making the movie and then have the audience and critics accept the movie and go out and fork out the hard-earned money to watch the movie so you can make a profit. Now, I've talked about Disney's losses of some of the more recent like live action or the attempts of some more original films. But now let's talk about some of Disney's biggest wins. Now, I'm a man that loves numbers, so I'm going to talk about movie budgets and the box office, how much money they bring in, and the profits that these studios bring in. Now, I'm only going to focus on Disney's like, animations. I'm not going to talk about the other new remakes, but I'm not going to talk about Star Wars or the acquisition of Marvel. So I'm only going to talk about the old school animation. Now, so recently, Disney's Frozen 1 and 2. So I think the budgets are about saying here 150 million USD. Now, I don't know if that includes marketing or not, but let's take 150 million. Each of the Frozen films went on to make over $1 billion for Disney. 10 times the return on investment for shareholders. Holy f***, $1 billion each. Not only that, now I'm assuming these are all similar budgets. The Incredibles 2, over $1 billion. Zootopia, over $1 billion. Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4, just over $1 billion each. The Lion King original, just under $1 billion. Finding Nemo, just under $1 billion. So when Disney gets it right, they get it right. They make a movie for about 150 million and they bring in over $1 billion. Holy f***. But if you're curious about how the live action Mulan is doing, let's check it out. The 2020 Mulan remake had a budget of 200 million USD. I don't know how much the marketing is for this. And of course, COVID has made things a lot complicated for Disney. So not being able to release the movie worldwide in cinemas. They are releasing it in cinemas to China this week. So let's have a look at the numbers so far. So according to Forbes, I mean, the movie has only made $6 million worldwide so far against a budget of $200 million. Whoa. And I don't think Disney has released the numbers for the amount of volume that the title has made on the streaming platform. So it'd be interesting to see who's actually shelled out $30 for this movie online. In comparison, the 1998 animation was made for just under $100 million USD and had a box office performance of 300 USD, which did a lot better than just breaking even and made a nice return on investment for shareholders. Now, according to the BBC, when the animated movie was eventually released in China, like it didn't have such a great reception as it did worldwide. I mean, it seems like the Chinese audience just saw the movie was quoted as too foreign looking or too westernized. So yeah, the animated movie didn't do too well in China during that time. Now, it seems like what Disney is trying to do with the live action remake is have a more realistic approach of all Asian actors to try and pander to the Chinese cinema goings, because the Chinese cinema market is a huge market and set to overtake the American market this year. So COVID aside, Disney also has the issue of recent calls for boycott of the movie. Now there's a hashtag trending called boycott Mulan, which is against the lead Mulan actress for her comments in 2019 about the Hong Kong protest. Now that's just one part. The next part is much more serious. So also from the Verge article, the second part of the boycott is in regards to China's human rights abuses and treatment of the Uyghur people. As it was reported that Disney filmed a part of the movie in the region of Xinjiang where these abuses continue to occur. John Oliver from Last Week Tonight did a piece on this and I'll link it down below and he goes into it in much more detail. So people are calling on a boycott of the 2020 version of Mulan because of these two very big issues. One is the lead actress showing support for the police brutality against Hong Kong protesters, and two, China's human rights and abuse of the Uyghur people. So the movie has only made $6 million worldwide so far against a production budget of $200 million. But this is really funny. So also still on The Verge. So from Disney Studios chairman Alan Horn told the reporter that if Mulan doesn't work in China, we have a problem. That's probably one of the biggest understatements of the year, because Disney could possibly be looking at another $100 million plus loss on Mulan 2020. Not only because of COVID, the boycott issues, but beyond that, it's just not a good movie. So for me, just to sum up the movie and review, the movie was just so awkward, underwhelming, unnecessary, and it was just a piss poor remake. But most important of all, there was no shirtless fucking Captain Shang. Fuck you, Mickey. So Willis Reviews is giving this 1 Mushu out of 5. We as a cinema goers, as an audience, don't have to watch this bullshit from Disney. Disney thinks that it's just an easy money maker for them just to go back into the vault of the animated classics and just do a live action remake. Now, if these live action remakes are simply just bad and the audience just doesn't fork out the hard-earned money over to the House of Mouse for these piss poor movies, then that's gonna hurt Disney's bottom line, which means the executives and shareholders are not going to be happy, which might even make them to reconsider doing any future live action remake bullshit. We can only hope so anyway. So that's been my Willis review of Mulan 2020. As always, thank you for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button to help support my channel, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Cheers guys, and come on, go back. Wait, what the hell? The Little Mermaid? Pinocchio? Leo and Stitch? Bambi? You might cunts.